Welcome back to another reaction video. Today we'll react to embarrassingly dumb ways people died. Honestly, probably not the most appropriate time to do this, considering the beginning of this week, but it just keeps popping up every time I go onto YouTube and on recommendations, and it's like one of the top ones there for me, and I'm going like, should I do this? What the heck. So anyway, we know how this goes. Dumb ways people die. Either they do something really dumb that kills themselves, or something else. Like, one of the dumbest ones that I heard so far is someone chugging some alcohol up their ass. I am not joking. That is a thing that happened. And I am still questioning the sanity of said person. Because you gotta be mental as frick to even do that. But yeah, I think you'll understand for all those new to this as we start this video. So if you do enjoy this reaction video, hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button to be notified immediately when your video comes out. If you have any videos you would like to recommend yourself, put it down in the comment section below and I'll react to them as soon as possible. Other than that, the link to this video will be down in the description below. So if you want to see this video before I even react to it, pause this video right now. You done? You good? Alright. For all those that stick in till the pause was done, let's start this video. And all those that came back after watching the reaction.
Well,
their thing.
Here we are again. How many episodes has it been now? 10? 12? Wait, 15? Seriously? 15 whole videos dedicated to people who have protected our gene pool by removing themselves from it in the most idiotic ways possible? And there's still no end in sight? Wow. I guess human stupidity really doesn't know any bounds. With that, let's take a look at some more Darwin Award winners and the ridiculous ways they achieved their prize. Florida Man down. Back in June 2022, over in Largo, Florida, a couple of people were enjoying a round of frisbee golf in a local park. What, you don't know the time-honored game of frisbee golf? As the name suggests, it's like golf, but instead of a ball, you have a frisbee, and instead of holes, you have these basket things.
Oh, I think I remember that. I think I heard from... Actually, the one place I heard from was a real long time ago. And I don't know if anyone have seen that show. It was a weird time process, and you probably all don't remember it, or never heard of it till now. It was only 101 that I heard from, but yeah.
A more weirdly American sport has never existed, and I've been to a hot dog eating contest. Anyways, the game was progressing normally when someone accidentally flung their frisbee off course into a nearby lake. Now, Florida is famously home to some 1.25 million alligators, and because of this, almost every body of fresh water across the state has signs warning people not to step foot in the water, lest they fancy becoming an alligator snack. Despite this, a gentleman who we'll call Florida Man decided in his infinite wisdom to wade right on in and grab the disc. Gators be damned. This was not his first time in the waters, though. He'd repeatedly waded into this lake in the past to fetch lost frisbees and resell them back to their owners, despite being warned not to do so multiple times. But this would be the last time he got to pull this ploy, because before he could find the frisbee, an alligator found him. Well, all I can say is if you play stupid games, like fetching frisbees from alligator-infested waters, you win stupid prizes, like being eaten by alligators.
Yeah.
Superior.
Honestly, the guy deserved that. He's just reckless about it.
In the UK, decided he wanted to try out paddleboarding for the first time.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Equipment he needed, bought a few boards and paddles for himself and his
Okay.
family, and then headed to a beach in Hampshire. He'd specifically chosen this beach because he knew the waters would be calmer, giving him a better chance to get to grips with the board. All seems
Not too
like
bad.
a very sensible, logical way to go about things, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That is, until you learn that this guy couldn't swim.
What
Also, he hadn't
the
bothered to put on a
frick?
life jacket. And then, to add the cherry on top of this idiot sundae, he'd paddled more than half a mile out into open water, where when he tried to turn the board around, he suddenly fell off. Unable to get a grip on the board, his inability to swim, and the lack of a body-affixed flotation device ended up causing his demise. To make matters worse, his wife claimed that the lack of Coast Guards on the beach was the main reason he didn't survive. While that may be a part of it, I'm pretty sure a fatal lack of common sense was more to blame here. Hot
Oh my
stuff.
gosh, that's
I
dumb.
love me a good barbecue. The only part I don't enjoy is waiting for the coals to be hot enough to cook on. Yeah, I know, it only takes like 15 minutes to light them up and get them scorching hot, but this little fatty wants it
Hey,
burnt
you can
now.
wait. What?
And
Why?
it turns out I'm not the only impatient one. Back in July 2022, a man from Erfstadt, Germany was driving along when all of a sudden he lost consciousness. His car came to a stop when it hit the side of a house and the local fire brigade was called. They assumed this guy had fallen asleep at the wheel and caused the accident, but when they got there, the unmistakable smell of charcoal filled their noses. And when they opened the back doors of the car, out fell several small barbecue grills with glowing coals still in them. After extinguishing the coals, the firefighters found beer, speakers, beer benches, and crockery inside. It turned out the idiot driving was a cook who supposedly gave barbecue seminars. Apparently in a rush to get from one appointment to the next, he hadn't bothered to extinguish the still glowing coals in the kettle grills, which he loaded into the back of his car. Now, when they're burning, coals release a colorless and odorless toxic gas called carbon monoxide, even when they're not smoking, which is why having a coal barbecue in an enclosed space is always a bad idea. After a while, this guy's car had filled up with the toxic gas, causing him to pass out and crash. Clearly, his barbecue course didn't cover the basics of barbecue safety. Pfft, amateur. Caffeine.
It doesn't sound like he died,
In the
though.
world of gym bros, taking a pre-workout supplement is currently...
No, seriously, it sounded like the guy didn't die. I don't know. I'm more 50-50 on that. Sounds like he didn't die.
You need to boost your energy levels and get your buzz on, including vitamins, carbohydrates, and around 175 milligrams of the stimulant caffeine. About the same
Okay.
amount you'd find in 4 cups of coffee. Now that's liquid motivation. However, these supplements can be expensive, so some people resort to just buying caffeine powder and making their own liquid get-up-and-go juice. At least that's what one man in the UK tried to do back in 2022. He'd bought some caffeine powder to add to his homemade pre-workout drink, and because it hadn't come with a measuring cup or scoop, he decided to use some basic kitchen scales to measure out 300 milligrams of the stuff. That's about 6.5 very strong coffees. Definitely not advised, though not necessarily a fatal dose. But the scales he was using weren't in milligrams. They were in grams.
Oh
Most what you
no.
could measure on them was more than 6 times the maximum recommended dose. And it's believed, without realizing the metrics were wrong, he measured out close to 300 grams, more than 200 coffees worth of caffeine, and consumed it.
Oh no.
Minutes, he was on the floor in the grips of a severe caffeine overdose, one he didn't survive. Now, the caffeine levels in the blood of a
hell.
person who drank 1 cup of coffee would be 2 to 4 milligrams per liter of blood. A post-mortem revealed that this guy's caffeine levels were 392 milligrams per liter. So this
Oh,
one is going to all the
shit.
gamers out there. Double, triple, quadruple check your supplement metrics. Or be like me and stick to having a pre-workout coffee on the couch. And then staying there. Much safer. Poor
I mean, not wrong.
choices. It's not just consuming
No.
workout energy drinks that'll earn you
No.
one
No
workout.
one would be
Advertising them can result in
doing.
an equally dumb demise if this next entrant is anything to go by. Back in January
Please tell me it's
2015,
not what
a
I'm
fitness
thinking.
model in Burbank, California, decided he wanted to shoot a promotional video for an energy drink company he'd co-founded. But instead of shooting something like a big burly guy in the gym lifting weights with one hand and chugging his energy drink with another, our man wanted something different. He wanted to really train. No, sorry, I read that wrong. He wanted real trains. He planned to make it look like drinking this drink would give you the power to outrace a literal train. The only problem is that a shit
What?
like this is expensive and requires.
Why am I right on that?
But going for
Why?
a brain over brain approach, our man figured he and his team could just
I was hoping I was
trespass into a
wrong.
restricted area of the Metrolink tracks and shoot the commercial hassle-free. His plan was to run on a set of tracks that were parallel to the trains coming up behind him, so shot from the side it would only look like he was running ahead of the train. But here's the kicker. This particular section of railway was on a blind bend, so until the train was around the corner, there was no way of knowing which set of tracks it would be using. Nevertheless, our model man shouted action and started running, with the train quickly catching up behind him. Despite the blaring sound of the train's horn, our man just kept running in a straight line until the train ran over him. Would this be a bad time to mention that semi-realistic CGI effects are pretty cheap these days? Like, I know a guy who'll edit you into a train chase scene for like $20. No? Sorry. I was too busy over here flexing my brain, not my muscles. Protein powder problems. What,
Why?
Another gym bro workout supplement
No.
related story?
No.
Don't mind if I
No.
do. Back in February 2022, early in
Don't.
the morning, a young
Okay.
man was driving
Please don't
along
be
the
what I'm
road in the
thinking. Please
outskirts
don't
of
be what
San
I'm
Diego.
thinking.
Without warning, he veered off to the side of the road, hitting a parked vehicle and causing a 6-car pileup. Okay, at this point, I want you to take a guess at why he veered off the road. Was he looking at his
Huh?
phone? Had he fallen asleep? Was he attempting to open a packet of protein powder, take out a scoop and pour it into a cup of water he had in his
Okay, so it's not what I'm
with a
thinking.
knife? Well, if you guessed that last one, give yourself a cookie. When rescuers arrived at the scene, they opened the guy's door to find protein powder all over the vehicle. It coated the seats, the dash, the airbag that had deployed after he crashed, and the knife, which, as he'd been distractedly using it to mix the protein drink in his lap, had been propelled back by the airbag and into his body. Fatally. Luckily, no one else was injured. Okay, several takeaways from this story. 1. Don't mix your protein powder while you drive. 2. Don't hold a knife while you drive. And 3. Always take your workout supplements with a liberal dose of common sense.
Not
TikTok
wrong.
trouble. A lot of good things
Oh.
have come from the video sharing app TikTok, such as fun dances and wholesome viral stars. But it's also provided the catalyst for a lot of incredibly dumb trends, just for likes and views. Often, the more extreme these are, the more views they receive. But they can be so pointlessly dangerous, many of them have been banned from the platform. But back in November 2022, one wannabe TikTok creator went viral for all the wrong reasons. Deciding he needed to add a little edge to his next TikTok dance, a man from Texas, in all his infinite wisdom, decided to get up on top of an 18-wheeler and then began to record himself dancing while the truck was moving. The driver of the truck had no
Idiot.
idea, and so he continued on his route as per usual. This included driving across Houston's US 59 East X freeway, a route with several overpasses. Other drivers soon noticed the TikTok terror, watching as he ducked down to avoid being hit by some of the overpasses. But he was too focused on his dance moves and didn't spot one coming up at speed. He was promptly knocked off the top of the truck and into moving traffic, which obviously he didn't survive. I want to say this was an accident, but part of me wonders if he started the video like, Darwin Award achievement check. Lord have mercy on this idiot. There are a lot of people out there who claim to be the reincarnation of the big JC, Jesus Christ, but none have ever definitively proved that they are, which is what one pastor from Zambia was about to change. Back in 2021, this guy promised to prove to his congregation that he was the reincarnation of the Son of God by recreating one of Jesus' famous heavenly abilities. You assume he'd choose something with minimal risk, like turning water into wine or walking on water. No, of course not. He demanded
Which
his
one did you
congregation
do?
bury him alive and then dig him up 3 days later, mimicking JC's famous resurrection. So as instructed, the church members dug him a grave, tied his hands together, and buried him. He remained there, as the good book said, for 3 days. And when he was exhumed on the 3rd day, something unbelievable happened. He was alive. He'd done it. He'd really done it. He is risen! He obviously didn't do this. The pastor did not, in fact, survive 3 days buried in 6 feet of earth with no air. Not exactly a surprise. And was very much stuck in the pre-resurrection stage. His congregation members were arrested, with several still on the run for their hand in this prophetical failing. If only he'd stuck to not turning water into wine.
For all those that, for the previous 2 things, do not try to claim the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. No, never do that. Do one of the safer options if it comes to it. And 2, do not let yourself get greedy with views on TikTok. Just don't.
Copter chaos. When it comes to big, dangerous machines with the power
To the point that you actually get
very few people
yourself killed.
think of helicopters. Well, if at least one
not
more
wrong.
of them had, then they might still be with us. Back in July 2022, news outlets all over the world began reporting on a story from Athens, Greece, where a tourist was struck down by a helicopter rotor after getting too close to the blades while trying to take a selfie with the vehicle. The news outlets quickly ran with the sensational story, but it turned out that they were wrong about one key thing, and the real story was far more baffling. The tourist in question had been riding as part of a group on the helicopter, and after it landed, had disembarked with the others and was chaperoned to a nearby lounge safely. However, it was at this point the tourist, who appeared to be calling someone on his phone, left the lounge and made a sudden beeline back to the helicopter, without telling anyone anything. As he approached the still-running vehicle, ground staff suddenly clocked him, shouting for him to stop. But over the noise of the helicopter, he couldn't hear them, nor could he see how fast the rear rotor was spinning. The pilot, who was wearing headphones, only heard the ground crew shouting right as the tourist made the unthinkable decision to duck under the tail section of the aircraft, but misjudged how close he was to the whirring blades and was fatally caught by the tail rotor. So it wasn't down to a seriously stupid selfie. But what the heck possessed him to go back to the helicopter, let alone duck under the tail and get that close to the blades? Maybe he'd forgotten something on the helicopter. Maybe he wanted to see the helicopter from the other side? Maybe. I don't know. I'm out of ideas. What do you think he was doing? Let me know down in the comments below.
Why?
Gee whiz. Manual labor is no easy profession. It's a lot of long hours where you're constantly on your feet, often at the mercy of the elements.
No, don't tell me.
Or the smooth-brained, considering how many dangers you can find on an active site. Which is why this next guy's employment in the field shorted out, shall we say. Back in 2020 in Dehradun, India, a labor for the Uttarakhand Power Corporation decided to take a leak. Because he was on the job,
okay, this is actually worse than what I thought.
To relieve himself next to. But this guy must have forgotten where he was and that he was working for a power company, because he chose a pole that was right next to an electrical box. As soon as he let the stream rip onto the box, a fatal bolt of electricity surged up it and through his body, frying him instantly. Well, whether you work for a power company or not, I think we can all agree that we're going to be checking where we whiz before we whiz from now on. Fallen on hard times. When you're doing something as dangerous as canyoneering, the activity of exploring canyons, and California's aptly named Death Valley, having the right equipment isn't just advised, it's crucial.
That sounds like a big thing you gotta prepare for.
2022, having
no matter what.
A solo canyoneering trip, our man went by himself to rappel down one of Death Valley's many canyons when he suddenly realized his rope was too short. Instead of admitting defeat and heading out of the park to find somewhere that might sell him a longer rope, he had a big brain moment. He could use a piece of webbing to lengthen his rope and make it down to the bottom. Now, webbing is a sort of strap often used to secure things like backpacks. It's not designed to be used as climbing equipment. Nonetheless, he extended the makeshift rope and, happy with it, began his descent. However, when he reached the knot where the rope met the webbing, he had to briefly disconnect his rappel device in order to get over it. And it was here, while he wasn't secured to the wall or the rope thanks to his own harebrained design, that he suddenly fell 30 feet to his demise. At least now we all know how not to go canyoneering. Get it? Not? Like the knot he, Yeah, the dad jokes aren't going to get any better.
No.
It's a stable part of my personality. Deal with it. Pour one out.
But that was
Alcohol
still
has a few
pretty
properties
dumb.
that it's famous for. For one, it's a depressant, meaning it inhibits or depresses the response of the central nervous system, which is why you slur your speech and can't walk straight when you've had one too many. 2, at room temperature,
Makes
it's
sense.
liquid in form. And 3, it's highly flammable. Now that last one is particularly important because people don't seem to understand just how dangerous that makes it near an open flame if not handled correctly. For example, back in July 2022, a man from Naples, Italy was having a barbecue when he decided to add a little fuel to the fire. Did he use firelights? Maybe a little extra paper or wood? Nope, this guy decided to pour alcohol on the flames. Here's a little science lesson for you kids. When a high enough proof alcohol in a stream meets a flame, it doesn't magically make the source of the fire any hotter. It sets the stream of alcohol on fire.
Yeah.
Fire had traveled up the stream of alcohol to the bottle it was being poured from, and the whole thing blew up in his face. The injuries he sustained were so severe, he didn't survive. But luckily, I like my tales of fatal idiocy.
Ugh.
The Jagermeister.
Oh no.
Jagermeister is an herbal liqueur with
Why?
56 herbs and spices that go into making it, give it something of an acquired taste. And by that I mean, I only like it when it's mixed with a Red Bull. I'm just classy like that. Still, at 35% alcohol by volume, it's pretty potent regardless. Well, over in a liquor parlor in South Africa, they decided to put the drink's potency to the test. They set up a drinking competition offering a prize of 200 rand, a little over $11, to anyone who could drink an entire 24-ounce bottle of the stuff. It's unclear whether they thought anyone would actually be dumb enough to attempt the challenge or whether they assumed it just couldn't be done. But several men stood up to the plate. And not only did the winner down every last drop, he also did so in less than 2 minutes. He was awarded his grand prize when all of a sudden he collapsed on the floor. But he wasn't just drunk or asleep, he was gone. Yeah, here's something I assumed I didn't need to explain. Alcohol isn't good for you in massive quantities.
Obviously.
It's a toxin, which can build up in the blood and literally poison you. In general, your body can process about 1 unit of alcohol per hour. After one drink, your blood will have an alcohol content of roughly 0.04%. After 6 drinks, that'd be around 0.14%. At this point, vomiting is not uncommon. After 15 drinks with a blood alcohol level of 0.3%, unconsciousness is inevitable. But after consuming an entire bottle of Jagermeister in just 2 minutes, our man's blood alcohol content would have shot up from 0% to around 0.44%. A fatal dose. Oh man, I can almost hear the frat boy saying he could have walked it off if only he'd had a couple of Red Bulls to chase it with.
Ugh.
Honorable mentions. Okay,
No,
so there have been some pretty solid attempts to join the prestigious list of Darwin Award winners over the years, but the idiots in question have tragically survived. However, I'm feeling generous, so to make sure they don't feel left out, here are a couple of honorable mentions to those who almost made the list with some certifiably moronic life choices. To start, we head over to Russia.
That's questionable, but okay.
Decided to make their birthday a memorable one by inviting some of their friends over to a pool complex they'd hired out. They spent a little time in the sauna, and to ensure the water was extra cold for their post-sauna swim, the influencer had ordered 55 pounds of dry ice, which they then dumped into the pool. Okay, pop quiz. Do you guys know what dry ice actually is? No? Well, neither did the influencer. All they knew was that it was very cold, and when it met water, it produced a cool steam show effect, which would look great on their socials. But here's the thing. Dry ice is the solid form of carbon dioxide, which only stays solid at a temperature of negative 109.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Above this and without the right pressure conditions, it transitions straight into gas, without an immediate liquid stage. So dumping that much in a pool which was not a well-ventilated space released a lot of carbon dioxide, a gas humans famously cannot breathe. Several guests dived in and immediately began to choke. The influencer themselves and a few others managed to get out just in time, but 3 guests suffocated, including the influencer's own husband. Well, that's a birthday they'll certainly never forget. Although that's not the dumbest thing someone's done around a body of water. Back in July 2022, the chief minister of a North Indian state visited the holy Caffeine rivulet, marking 22 years of its cleansing. Despite its historical significance, the rivulet had once been a sewer drain, but more than 20 years of community rejuvenation brought the rivulet back to life. On the heels of a clean water campaign in the state, the chief minister was so keen to prove to everyone at this event that the Caffeine was both clean and safe, he grabbed himself a glass of its water and drank it down. I really hope I don't need to tell you, but just because fresh water looks clean doesn't mean it's safe to drink. Waterborne infections like E. coli, parasites, and raw sewage can contaminate even the freshest looking water sources, which this chief minister found out quickly. The next day, multiple media outlets reported that he was airlifted to a hospital with severe stomach cramps. He attempted to deny it, claiming it was a routine checkup, though I'm not sure how many people need an emergency airlift for a simple checkup. Something smells off, though that might just be the Caffeine. Ride or die. Now, I don't usually have favorites, but this next Darwin Award is just... it's just lacking so many brain cells, it's unbeatable, in my opinion. Back in 2015, a gentleman and his friend were visiting...
I heard worse stuff by now, so what could be?
They decided to get their adrenaline fix on the Raptor, a steel-inverted roller coaster which whips riders around at a top speed of 57 miles per hour.
Okay.
As riding, our man in question realized his phone had fallen out of his pocket. Once the ride was over, he peered over into the restricted section and saw his phone lying near the coaster's tracks. Completely ignoring the big "Do Not Enter" signs, the fences constructed to keep people out, and the fact he knew the ride was currently in operation, having literally just been on it, our man hopped the fence and reached for his phone. To literally no one's surprise, he didn't even bother to check if another cart was coming, and so, as you've probably guessed, he was struck by an oncoming cart. Yep, that's got to your Darwin Award if ever there was one. Which of these winners did you think removed themselves in the most spectacular way? And would you be up for a part 16?
I was wrong. I was wrong.
Winners out there just waiting to have their stupidity animated. Let me know down in the comments below.
It was way worse than I thought. Okay. Okay. Showed me I was wrong. Okay. Okay. I was wrong. So very wrong. That is the dumbest thing. Because that person has to lack so much common sense just for that to happen. And if it was an adult, I would question their life choices. For a lot of stuff that happened, I can just say ignorance is bliss for some of these dumb ways people died. or even got in the situation they did. For others, I go like, too greedy or too ignorant or anything like that. This last one has to be by far the dumbest thing I have ever heard. Because not only did this person not secure their stuff during the ride, not only did they look around in the restricted area, not only did they not look to make sure that it's safe to be around that area, not only did they ignore every safety precaution and warning there, they were dumb enough to not even ask for assistance. You would have to lack so much intelligence to the point that uh, uh, I'm done. The stupidity with that just it just annoys me. It annoys me so much. I, I if you ever saw my face at this moment, you would be surprised about how dumbfounded I looked. The only reason that I can't is because I don't have the proper camera stuff just to do it. But still, this is so freaking dumb! How is this more dumb than someone claiming to be Jesus Christ and trying to bury themselves for 3 days? How is that more dumb than someone trying to stir something with a knife only to get stabbed? How is this more dumb than someone trying to outrun a train? How is this more dumb than trying to scale something? But then again, that's probably ignorance, so that, like I said. How is this more dumb than a TikToker dancing on an 18-wheeler only to get hit and fall off? How is it dumber than the plane repellent? Helicopter repellent. How is it dumb than this thing where you're trying to climb down a mountain? How is this more dumb than a lot of the alcohol stuff? Or the hot tub? Or the water thing? How was this last one so dumb that I just think it's the dumbest thing that someone like permanently extinct themselves from the human race. Seriously, how is that so dumb? Oh my gosh, how? I'm done. I'm honestly done for today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel and the content provided. And tell me what you think is the dumbest one, because the last one seems like the dumbest thing by far. There are so many dumb things about it that it's not even funny. It's not amusing, it's not funny, it's so retarded that it just makes me want to slap whoever thought it would be a good idea to even attempt this. So I hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!